You there, youngster! Are you wasting all your time playing video games and watching Netflix all night? Do you go to the Starbucks and get lattes? Maybe you should try something called hard work. You ever heard of it? I certainly have. It's called pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. Maybe if you tried that, you might get somewhere. All your dreaming and figuring, trying to avoid hard work, never going to get anywhere without hard work. Work-life balance, that's for losers. Listen to the words of my boy, Monty Burns.
I'll keep it short and sweet. Family, religion, friendship. These are the three demons you must slay if you wish to succeed in business. When opportunity knocks, you don't want to be driving to the maternity hospital or sitting in some phony baloney church. Or synagogue. Questions?
And here's another one for you. My boy, the man in black.
Life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something.
Well, you know what I really say? Be careful what you wish for. You've probably heard of the saying, be careful climbing that ladder. You might find that it was leaned against the wrong building. And here's a perfect quote from my man Lao Tzu. Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. So I'll tell you a little story about how I avoided climbing the wrong ladder. When I went to college, I knew that I was going to study biology because that's what I was good at, and the study of life sounded really cool to me. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll consider being pre-med because that's what everybody does. You know, it's you're studying biology, oh, you're pre-med. Yeah, of course. Because everybody's got to be a medical doctor, right? So one day, I forget if the guy came to our class or if I went to a presentation, but basically there was a pre-med student who was like, hey, this is what it's like to be a pre-med student, as like a senior or whatever he was. And he told us, all right, I have 20 hours of work of course load. So that's 20 hours in the classroom plus 20 hours of homework or whatever, more like 25, 30. So that's 45 hours of work. And I volunteer at the hospital 12 hours a week. And I have a job at a medical lab for 15 hours a week. And I do extracurriculars. And I'm like adding up. Okay, what is this, 80, 90-hour weeks as an undergraduate student? And I know it just gets harder from there. You know, you go to medical school, and then you go to residency, and that's another 8 years of just pounding it out, right? So, thanks to him, I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm out. And yeah, that was obviously right for me. I'm sure medical school is right for some people. I don't really know who. I mean, I guess there are some people who do good work, but man, I don't like the system. Obviously, I think that it's kind of designed to suck out your creativity and destroy your love for learning and that kind of stuff. But that's a different topic. Another funny story, also very important in my life. When I met my wife, we started dating. I was telling her about my views on the world and all these things, and I knew right away she was different than all the other girls because I'd tell other girls about my views on things, and they didn't really care, or they would argue with me, or they would just kind of shrug it off or whatever. But this girl, she would look at me like, "Whoa, really? That's what? Whoa, oh, okay." But and it like actually affected her, and it actually impacted what she was thinking about life. And so one day she came back to our house and told me, "Danny, I want to go to medical school." And I was like, "Oh, you do you? Well, that's great. If that's what you think is right for you and that's what you want to do, you should absolutely go to medical school. But you will be doing that without me." And she was really shocked that I was just like, okay, bye. I mean, I didn't want to tell her not to go if that's where her heart was, to go to medical school. But I wasn't going to be part of that. I wasn't going to sit around waiting for her for the next 10 years to see if we could start a family afterwards and whatnot. So, she reconsidered and decided not to go to medical school. And she thanks me to this day that she didn't do it. She was definitely trying to do it, or she was inclined to do it because, her parents were like, yeah, we want a doctor for a daughter. And, everyone around her is just, it's the same thing that for me. You go be an MD. That's what you do. That's how people give you credit. And that's how you can show that you're a success. But it's bullshit. It's bullshit. So I'm not saying to waste your life, right? Like, I'm not against working hard theoretically. I just don't think that if you actually do it right, you're going to be working hard. You're going to be doing what you love. That's what I think. And what about playing video games, sleeping in, eating junk food, watching sports, hanging out with friends, whatever, maybe doing stuff that's not exactly productive. What about those things? Well, I will say those things are 1,000,000 times better than climbing the wrong ladder. So I can imagine there's going to be some people who are like, what is this guy talking about? He's against hard work. What does he think? You should play video games and watch Netflix? He's pro those things and just spending your time doing nothing or whatever, or just wasting your time. And I would say yes, actually. You should do those things. You should waste time rather than climb the wrong ladder. Because at least when you're done playing video games, you're not faced with a life that you're going to hate. So my message here, I think, is really great news. And I'm not saying that you're not going to end up working really hard or long hours. I just don't think you're going to call it work. I'm going to say the cliche, if you do what you love, you will never work a day in your life. And I believe that is 100% true, and that is what life is supposed to be like. You are not supposed to be miserable. And I would take it a step further. Your feeling of dread, of your emotions regarding what you're doing or your work, especially before you do it, are you excited or are you dreading it? Do you have energy? Are you energized or are you exhausted? These are important signals for you to know if you're on the right path. This is your spirit, your soul telling you if you're on the right path. Because if you're on the right path, and if you follow the way of service, if you find your gift to give to the world, it will not feel like work. But let's still have compassion for people who are working, for people who haven't figured out their passion, or maybe they're like 50-50, right? Their work is somewhat fulfilling because it taps into their gift in certain ways, but it's still limited because they're letting, they're holding themselves back, they're with the wrong people, they're in the wrong company, whatever it might be. And let's maintain our compassion for those people. That's what I'm here to do, is to help those people and to help everyone that I can. But, instead of being, this is a big part of the way of service, is to maintain your humility and your compassion for others, because we were there. I was there. I've done work that I didn't like, probably a lot less than most people in their lives. So I'm sure I would love to hear from you viewers, some of your challenges, what's been difficult for you, and maybe some perspectives that I'm missing so that I can understand better. And because I have great compassion for that, because we have been lied to, we have been led astray, we're all shoved through the education system, or most people are, where you literally waste 12 to 16 years of your life studying things that you don't care about, destroying your passion for learning, destroying your passion for life, and then you have to regain it, you have to relearn it. And that's what I've had to do. I'm in my late 30s, and I'm now, I think, finally really on my path, really following what I should be doing, and I believe that that's this. Okay, so if I say don't work hard, what do I say to do? Well, that's the whole purpose of this channel and this project. I say follow the way of service, and I want to now reveal to you what the 5 steps of the way of service are, and how you need to follow the 5 steps of the way of service, and not the 5 steps of the path of woe. I came up with that because the way of service is WOS, and then the opposite of the way of service is the way of the ego, or WOE. So that is the path of woe. And here are the 5 steps. Step 1 is to know yourself, know thyself. That is the way of service. Conversely, the way of the ego, the path of woe, step 1 would be to deny yourself. So to know yourself is to understand your gift to give to the world. It's to know your nature. It's to know what you need. It's to know how you work. It's to know what you're best at. Is how to nurture yourself, nurture your gift into the world. But most people are taught to deny themselves, the path of woe. And on the path of woe, the reason they deny themselves is because they want to fit in. They don't want to stand out. They don't want to look weird. And they want to do what they're told. They want to succeed by everyone else's definition of success. So that's step 1. Step 2 is knowing reality. So we need to understand how reality works. We need to understand how spirit works. We need to understand the physical world. We need to understand the rules. We need to study. We need to learn. The opposite of that, the path of woe, is to be a blind follower. So that's to not understand things yourself and to just follow what other people are doing without verifying for yourself at any time. Sometimes we need to follow others in certain circumstances, but today we have so much access to information and knowledge that there's really no excuse to be ignorant anymore. I'll share something about that word, ignorant. So ignorant is to be able to know something, but to have ignored it. There's actually a different word called nescience, which is to be unable to know something and to not know it. And so the word ignorance actually implies a fault to the person who has chosen to ignore the information because they have never taken the time to learn it, even though it was available to them. And in today's world of information, unfortunately or fortunately, I think fortunately, there is no longer an excuse to be ignorant. So that's step 2. Step 3 is to serve yourself. The way of service is not to only serve others, but it is to serve yourself as part of knowing yourself, but then to actually take the action and take the steps to make sure that you are in a positive state and to enjoy your life. So the primary tool for that is a daily practice, and I'll get into that in some other videos. But that is serving yourself. And the path of woe, the opposite of serving yourself, is to punish yourself. And that's what the beginning of this video was all about. Punishing yourself, scolding yourself for feeling what you feel, and never taking time devoted to yourself. To me, that is what a daily practice is. You are giving yourself compassion. So that is the third step, is to serve yourself and avoid the path of woe, which is to punish yourself. And the fourth step is to serve others. And this is a big one. This is probably the biggest one that I want to talk about on this channel, but I'll be talking about all the steps. But most people follow the path of woe on this step. Instead of serving others, they serve themselves. They have selfish goals. They serve their ego. Instead of how can I serve the world and how can I share my gift the best, it's how do I make more money this year? How do I become number one? How do I gain that position of power, of prestige? So that's step 4. Step 5 is basically all the steps combined, and it is to avoid pitfalls and to overcome difficulties. And the path of woe is to succumb to difficulties and to let them get you down, let them make you angry and rageful and ultimately destroy your relationships. And I'll get into this at another point, but the whole basis of the way of service is relationships. And so if we let difficulties take away our peace of mind, take us away from the way of service, and put us on the path of woe, we end up destroying our relationships or damaging them greatly. So that's the 5 steps. And that is what I offer to you instead of work hard. It's not supposed to be hard. You are supposed to operate from a place of centered understanding and joy and excitement. And from that place, you can serve the world. And you can have an ecstatic life. So, the last thing that I want to share with you in this video is you will need radical acceptance of where you are right now. Believe it or not, you are right where you are supposed to be. And let me put it to you this way. If you could snap your fingers today and just all of a sudden magically your entire life would be different, such that you had already been doing the right thing for years and years and you were just living this perfect life that you could envision, would you do it? I would say that that would be a big mistake. It would be a big mistake to snap your fingers or to wave that magic wand, because you will be missing out on your hero's journey. You will be missing out on your comeback story. I was talking about this with my wife, and we realized a perfect example of this. If you have children, you'll understand. And if you don't have children, think of your own childhood. If you could snap your fingers and wave a magic wand, would you wish that your children were suddenly perfectly grown up, well-adjusted, and successful adults? Would you give up all the moments from now until then so that they could just instantaneously be that perfect vision that you have? The answer is very clearly no. There's nothing that anyone could give me or anything that could magically appear for me that would ever make me exchange my children's childhood or experiencing their childhood with them in all the days and years from now until they are a successful adult, God willing. There's nothing that could do that. So you have to have radical acceptance for where you are right now, and know that God and the universe will work with you to take you along the way of service. You are not behind anyone else. You are not behind or ahead of anyone else. You have your mountain to climb, and there is pristine snow ahead of you. And there is no other way that it could be. And so once you choose to follow the way of service and avoid the path of woe, everything in front of you becomes an opportunity to take that next step that is right. Okay, so let's recap. First of all, don't work hard. Waste time, if you have to, in order to find what you're really supposed to do. Waste time as much as you can, right? I'm sure people have jobs that they need to do, and I'm not saying quit your job and do nothing and let your family starve, or basically don't do things that are going to make you anxious and unhappy. But start where you are. That's radical acceptance for where you are, and then start to listen to yourself and start to learn who you are. Listen to who you are, and learn more about the world. Serve yourself. Start a daily practice that reminds you of who you are and reminds you that you should be happy. And then orient yourself each day in the smallest of circumstances to be of service. And there's always some very specific way you can be of service, you particularly, either because of where you are physically or because of your gifts, what you might be able to say to someone or what you might be able to do for someone. And I believe that the universe will guide you to see what those things are if you're open to it. And then avoiding pitfalls, that's what I'm here for. I want to help you avoid pitfalls. So you can reach out to me and I'll help you. I'm going to continue to put out content related to all these steps. So that's the summary. I want to know what you guys think. I want to start that discussion. I want to see what you think about these ideas and these steps. Which of these steps are the most interesting to you? Which ones do you have difficulty with? Please share your ideas. I want to know. I'm ready to have the discussion. And if you enjoyed this video, leave me a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when I make a new video. And I am looking forward to doing more content in the near future, and I will see you in the next video, my friend.